Georgia Republicans are proposing a solution that's in search of a problem, seemingly undoing laws their own party had created. The state Senate's GOP majority released framework yesterday aimed at eliminating no-excuse absentee voting, adding a voter ID requirement to mail ballots for voters with an eligible excuse, and eliminating drop boxes. They will plan to vote. They will vote on the plan after the new year. The same state lawmakers also called for an investigation into, quote, any and all fraudulent activities and for additional audits of the 2020 general election. Georgia has already conducted 2 recounts of the results. Both found that President-elect Joe Biden won by more than 12,000 votes. Joining us now, Congresswoman-elect Nikema Williams of Georgia. She is filling the seat left by the late civil rights icon John Lewis. And we welcome you back to the show. It's good to have you on. First of all, your take on what Republicans are trying to do to the voting process in Georgia.
So, Mika, this is not something that should surprise any of us, because Republicans here in Georgia have shown us time and time again that if more people that look like me show up to vote, they will find a way to do whatever possible to try and suppress our votes and stop us from voting. We've seen this time and time again. That's how we ended up in this predicament with this consent decree with the Democratic Party of Georgia and the Secretary of State and other organizations, because of the suppressive tactics on Black and brown people in the state. And so I'm going to Congress now thinking that I have an opportunity to equalize what it looks like to vote in this country. My family who lives in rural Alabama should have the same access to vote by mail and absentee voting that I have right here in Atlanta. And now here we are in Georgia looking at steps to roll back voting rights. I'm sure Congressman Lewis is somewhere like ready for somebody to get into good trouble over this. And I can't wait to get to Congress to push back, because we need to standardize voting in this country. And it is absurd that in the midst of a global pandemic, we have Republican lawmakers here in Georgia talking about rolling back access to voting by mail and absentee ballots.
Eddie Glaude Jr. has the next question. Eddie?
Representative Williams, I love to say that. Good morning. I hope you're doing well.
Good morning.
So look, we also not only do we hear talk about rolling back mail-in voting, we also know that they're closing polling stations in and around Cobb County. Can you talk a little bit about what the Republican Party in Georgia is doing concretely right now that could have an impact on the runoff election come January 5th?
So 2 things, Dr. Glaude. We see that in Cobb County, other counties are increasing or keeping on par the number of early voting sites that we had for the November elections, the number of drop box locations. Cobb County is rolling that number back. Our Democratic legislative delegation, or just the legislative delegation, it just happens to be majority Democratic now because we've picked up seats in Cobb County. They are pushing back on this. We're making sure that voters understand what is happening and raising their voices as well. And then it's just the suppression tactics, the fear tactics, the investigations, making people feel like they've done something wrong simply by using a drop box, simply by using a absentee ballot or voting by mail, which they want you to think is 2 different things, but it's the same thing, voting by mail and absentee ballots. And so with all of the rhetoric and all of the investigations and saying that people are going to go to jail if they register to vote and they're not supposed to, people aren't just moving to Georgia to register to vote. These are people who maybe did not register in time for the November election, and now they realize how important this is. And so now they're registering to vote. But it's all of the scare tactics, the fear tactics. We might not be counting jelly beans in a jar, but there are still voter suppression tactics live and well here in the Deep South.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.